but we will start. And this is the DNA interest group on August 4th. And today we've got several topics we're going to talk about. One of them, should we start with the clusters? Or what should we start with? First of all, did anybody get an invitation to join the 1890 club for $5,000? Sherry got one. Sherry's special. I didn't get one. So have you guys heard? Oh,
Angelina.
and Angelina got one too. Do you feel special? No, she says. So you want to talk about it, Sherry, just a bit?
Well, yeah. So Ancestry is creating I will call it a concierge membership level, which will include, if you pay the $5,000 a year, you will get an all access family plan for free for the year. You will get a year of Pro Tools. You'll get, I think it's 3 or 4 DNA kits.
Mm-hmm.
You get a 30-minute consult every month with a certified genealogist. And everybody would, I went to the intro invitation meeting, and there's a lot about the process they don't have figured out yet. Well, we think it's going to work like this, and oh, we think it's going to work like that. So it's still really, really green. But they are wanting, she did do a poll, and they're wanting this to be a broad collection of genealogists. So it was kind of a standard bell curve: beginners, intermediate, and professionals.
Okay.
And so they got the right kind of mix that they're looking for being part of this club. But they're going to have some monthly meetings where you can socialize and share things. They're going to try to customize training opportunities based on what people in the club need or want. So they may say, okay, we've got 15 people that would like to have a special program on Polish research or whatever. So it's still a little green. It is an annual fee. There were several in the group that thought it was a lifetime fee. So, so it'll be interesting to see where this lands.
And there was some comment at one time that you might get front row reserved seating at Roots Tech.
Yes, there were, and yes, you would get VIP seating at genealogical conferences.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that works, but
they don't have that worked out either.
They didn't have that worked out either. So, I think they're very excited about this opportunity to provide more services, more customized services for people that are interested in that. But there was just the general census I got from the comments was that was pretty pricey. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're trying to, at retail pricing for everything, they thought that this price point was a 50% discount if you bought everything at retail. Okay. So,
I think it was Connie Knox did a thing, talked about it, and she said it may be a portend of what's to come, that they're going to start slicing and dicing, and for your normal subscription that we all have, that they will start shrinking some of that, and that if you want other things, they will be add-ons as we go through. So we'll just see what happens.
Yeah,
I didn't get an invitation, so they aren't going to ask me right off the bat. I'm just not interested. So by the time I wrote a $5,000 check, my husband would be screaming. So that's it.
Yeah.
So that's one. The other short one is journeys. Supposedly we got some new journeys. I looked, I didn't see any.
I got 7 new journeys. Okay. Or my dad did. I didn't, but my dad did. So they are, my dad's family immigrated from Czechoslovakia, and there are some very Czech, Eastern European specific journey locations that are now included. And because of that, he got some additional US based locations where a lot of the Czech people landed. So Wisconsin, Kansas, sort of that kind of thing.
And they do update the journeys on a regular, I don't want to say regular basis, but they do it more than once a year. as they get more information. And the journeys are based on two things. One is your DNA matches and the tree that you have and your DNA match has. But it's supposed to highlight where your family has been in the last 300 years. All right. So it's 50 to 300 years. So that gives you, that if you're doing genealogy, that's quite helpful. It really is.
Well, and it was interesting for me because my dad's kit, he got all this new check space. Of all of us kids, I've got one sister that got 2 of the 5 check journeys.
Okay.
And this is something when they introduce these new levels, it takes a while for them to get things processed and tweak the algorithm. So they could come and go.
We should be seeing new origins, the ancestral origins update in August or September. That's generally when that comes out, where they start changing your percentage of what country
the
that
ethnicity.
Your ethnicity.
Yeah.
But that, again, that is further back. They say it's generally 1,000 years ago, which for genealogy doesn't help a whole lot, but it does kind of entertain you to see what's going on as you go through there. And that's where we all start going, what do you mean I've got Norwegian? What do you mean I've got this? What do you mean I've got that? And so forth and so on. I'm going to mute myself because I need to check something. So, no, I'm not answering. I have somebody, a technician supposed to call me. So that's it.
Okay.
Okay. So let's. Okay, there we go. So that was for the two quick things. We talked last time about I got it. Sherry, you go up.
Okay, so one of the things, I don't know where she was going with that, but I do want to point out that tomorrow on Legacy Family Tree webinars, Blaine Bettinger is doing a using shared matching presentation.
Ooh.
So if you're a subscription member to Legacy Family Tree webinars, you can watch it anytime in the future. If you're not, you can register for free and it's available with the recording for 10 days. So if you want to watch Blaine Bettinger, the title of this says Foundations in DNA 4 of 5. So I didn't realize there were 3 previous ones. So you can go back if you have a subscription. It's easy to go back and catch up with where he's going with this. So
and he does a nice job on presentations. So
yeah,
he leads you on a path that makes sense. So we go from there.
And given we're going to talk about clustering today, which is all about shared matches kind of a thing. So
yeah. I think if you're not a member of, or you don't have a paid subscription, you don't get the handout.
I believe that's true.
Yeah, but you can watch it up to 10 days. And if you, I renew my subscription to the Legacy Family Tree things in December when it's half price. So it turns to be about $28 and you got thousands of things to watch.
See, I always get bumped out because they say half price is only for new members.
Well, I don't know. I maybe this last time I must have done it at full price.
You must, and at full price, it's $49 a year.
That's a
deal. And you get unlimited access and you get all the handouts. To me, it's the best spent money for genealogy.
It's cheaper than $5,000. So that's
yeah.
I'm gonna obsess about that $5,000 for a long time. So
you can get a lot of years of legacy training.
Hey, and subscriptions to Ancestry and MyHeritage.
There you go.
So what time tomorrow is the Legacy Family Tree?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So Google Legacy Family Tree, and it'll show up right on that one. So
I've got it up on my screen. So I'll just go ahead and put the registration link in the chat. So if you guys want to go ahead and open your chat.
Yeah.
And I will paste that in there.
Okay. Because Blaine does a nice job. Like I said, he's the godfather of genealogy. I still have his original book over on the shelf. So that's it.
DNA.
DNA.
Yeah.
I don't know what I was talking about. Okay, let's talk about clustering. So last time we had heard that the Ancestry's cluster was coming up, and it showed up like the day after our meeting. And so I kind of went in and went, I'm not too sure this is going to be a whole lot of helpful. So then I passed the torch to Sherry. And
Well,
so last night we were looking at each other's clusters going, what the heck?
yeah, and I've got some wild and crazy stuff I'm going to show you today.
You're that one's even crazier than mine because she's showing me hers. And I'm like, that looks like a normal cluster.
Mine is super clean. I'll just tell you that. Mine is super clean. My
It is.
husband's is
Weird, just weird. And I gave, so before we saw her husband's, I did a snip and I sent mine to hers and I said, there's more little gray things than there are colored ones. And I'm like, I don't know what's going on with this group. So that was it. And,
Yeah.
but I think they're fine tuning it. So if you want to take over that one, I'll let you do it. How's that?
So why don't I go ahead and I'm going to share,
your screen.
I'm going to share my screen and just walk you through because I've been playing around with this today and there's some nice things that Ancestry does because they have through lines and because they have shared match information and they provide all of this information to us that is just way cool. And they integrate all that in a way that MyHeritage does not. So we've used MyHeritage clusters in the past, and I'm going to kind of do a compare and contrast on that for you guys tonight. So
now one thing we would need to say is this clustering is you have to have a Pro Tool subscription, which is $10 a month. So, and you can drop in and drop out. So you might do this, have it for a month, and then just drop out. So, but you will not see it unless you have a subscription through Pro Tools.
So they've changed the tabs here a little bit so that you can see the by parent, by ancestor is part of if you have a paid subscription, that's included. But you notice here by cluster is now marked as a Pro Tool. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into that, click on that. Oh, good. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through. This is kind of their intro. Welcome to matches. They're going to show us how to use shared matches. For those of us that have done some clustering, here they're looking at a very specific range of centimorgans of matches for your family. So they're excluding very close because they're all likely related to the same people you are, right? So they're saying from 65 to 1300. Now there's a slide coming up that will expand on that a little bit. And then they're only looking at matches and shared matches that have at least 20 centimorgans shared between them. So if you've got some that are in that lower range, they're not going to show up in your clustering. So just so you know.
I had to think about that. So the match to me has to be within 65 to 1300.
Yeah.
But the match between the other two has to be at least 20. So
yes,
I was like, where's the 20 come from? I didn't understand that. Sherry explained it to me.
So this is a little prototype of what you get. And if you've done the clustering on MyHeritage, you know they create these colored boxes to show the relationship between the clusters. And then they've got this function where you can add clusters to match groups that you've already created, or you can use them to make new groups. And I didn't really spend a lot of time trying to figure that part out. So if we have somebody that has a question about it, we can try that together tonight. But that's one of the things, because Ancestry has all of this connectivity with our DNA matches that you're going to see is going to be really fun. And you'll notice here, it says you'll be able to create custom clusters with specific matches and centimorgan ranges. Now, if you've done clustering on MyHeritage, that comes automatically with their clustering tool. You get a spreadsheet with all of the matches and which cluster they're in. You can slice and dice that, and they give you a way to slice and dice the data. So you can sort by centimorgans, you can change the ranges and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm going to remind you about that later when we look at that. So this is something they've got that's coming later. And then are you ready? So I'm going to say, show me. And this automatically paints. There is a little warning when it first comes up. It does a little timeline thing. It can take up to 30 minutes. I've done this on several of the kits that I manage, and I haven't had any trouble. It pops right up. So they limit it to 100 matches, which I didn't count mine, but you can see I don't have 100. It defaults in all. So this is all your matches. But if you want to only look on your maternal side, or if you want to only look on your paternal side, if you've gone in and labeled your parent sides, that's the label you'll get. If you haven't labeled your parent sides, it'll come up and say parent 1 and parent 2. Okay, so just so you know, they don't take anything away, but it may not be as easy as you think. Okay, so. And you can see across the left side, they give you the name of the person, that's the match. And if you hover over it, you get, if you've updated the relationship or the proposed relationship. So I've got some here that, here's where Ancestry saying, Toth Joanne could be your second cousin or your half first cousin once removed. And they show me right here that how much this person, how much Joanne and I share. Okay, that's what they're showing me. And then how, and that they have a tree. So I get all of that information right here in this view because Ancestry has that all plugged into through lines and everything else that we do. So what happens is if I take that line and I go over here to this dark line, this is me and her. The dark line in the clustering. So what they've done is they've taken the shared matches that share with each other, and between their DNA and the trees may have a common ancestor. They create these grids. So colored grids means these people in this cluster are all together. If they're gray, it's the same. Now you'll notice across the top, it's the same people in the same order. They're just using abbreviations. So what they're telling me here is Gloria is this first row. This is Gloria and Gloria, that's me. But over here in the gray, it says Gloria and Patrice share this much together and they project the information, but they belong in different clusters, okay? And so that gets to be really complicated. You got to get your head on straight because that means that Patrice here, if I follow that column down, all those gray boxes is someone on the left panel that Patrice matches with, but you can see that Patrice is ending up in this. I got to get the right column. Patrice is in this purple cluster. And you can see this is Patrice over here on the left. So she's a match to all these people up those columns, but she's not in the same cluster with them. Okay. So that's what the gray boxes tell us, that, hey, these people share DNA together with you, but they're not in the same cluster. Okay. So then it comes down and below the grid is this nice little summary. So they match the color to the chart above, the cluster above, and they tell you based on what we've put in our tree and the matches that we've matched with and where we might have, remember in your DNA processing, you can attach your matches to your tree. And then Ancestry can say, oh, they're maternal or they're paternal. So you can see they're saying 24 matches in that first cluster are maternal. And then the next one is paternal. And the next one is paternal. I know as it goes down. Now, what's really cool about what Ancestry does is I can expand these and I can see the list. I don't have to try to figure out from the grid, the columns and the rows, who are those people. I get this wonderful list from Ancestry that says, here's the 11 people that are in that cluster. And I get to see the normal information that we see on DNA matches. Okay. So I can see right away how much they share with me. I can see if they have trees. You can see here, several of the people in this cluster have a common ancestor with me, right? So I don't have to overthink this. I can just go let Ancestry tell me, you know. And you can see I have some notes that pop, you know, anything you've done with your DNA match shows up because this is the same presentation. They've just sliced and diced it to make it relevant for the cluster that they're in. Okay. So if I wanted to, I could go look at Leona Austin, and let's just do that. I'm going to right click on Leona and it's going to open in a new tab. And it's going to take me to our shared match page. So my cluster is still here in a separate tab. I can scroll down through our match, and right here, it says, this is who our common ancestor most likely is. Remember, this is Ancestry's guess based on your two trees, right? But I know Leona, you know, I've updated that she's my second cousin once removed on my dad's side, right? But that tells me that even though she and I share a match in the cluster, we have more shared matches, right? I can do all that extra work and that research right here in this extra tab. And I can go down and look through. I've got 3 pages of matches that I share with Leona, but they don't show up in the cluster. Okay, so I come back to the cluster, and this is the one that had 11 matches. Okay, so this is part of what Ancestry gives us that's way more interesting. So they give you this by cluster because I've opened this one up. They just now brought that little view of the cluster right here. And I can do the same thing from the cluster view that I did here. So I'm going to close this up. It's going to refresh to the whole cluster map, right? But if I wanted to, I can hover on any box. I can figure out, oh, that's where Brandy and Lori share between them, not with me, but how much they share. And it tells you their predicted relationship to each other, right? So, you know, it gives you that little bit of a help there. Now, if you wanted to open up Brandy's page, you hover over Brandy's name, right click, open in a new tab, and now it will bring up Brandy's shared match to me, not to the shared match, but you can see here, we don't have enough in our trees to clarify that it's Joseph Claire couple is our common ancestor, but we're in a different, we're in a different cluster here. So that's my bad. So I think there's some things that Ancestry does here that's really, really neat because you can hover on the square and figure out who that couple, who that paired shared match is, how much DNA they share, what their differences are, and they remind you that these gray shared DNA between them, but they're being assigned to a different cluster. Okay. And this gets really wonky for my family because, you know, I have families that intermarried. So just to be clear, let's do this. I'm going to look at, open a new tab. I'm going to look at Gloria here. I think this is my coffin line. Oh, she has a smaller tree than I thought she did. But I can look from this tab, I can look at the shared matches that we have. And I can tell you, so this is where it gets funky for me because my coffins, which is my maternal grandfather's first cousin married an Opliger. Opligers is my grandmother's maiden name, but her sister married my grandfather's first cousin. So I have Opligers and coffins that cross the boundaries all over the place. So even though for this DNA match, this is my coffin ancestor, they have surnames that are Opligers. So That makes my DNA tracking just way crazy weird. Okay, so I just wanted to let you know. But you notice as I scroll down, I'm going to make this a little smaller so you guys can kind of see the pattern that I have here. I have a really super clean pattern. So these gray on this side are the same combination of the gray over here, right? Because it's a grid. So everybody is on one side and the other side, and where those pairs match up, they get a gray. So everybody's in here twice. And you can see I have a lot of white space. I mean, even though I have obligors in my coffin common ancestor, and I have coffins in my obligor common ancestor group, my matches are pretty clean. I mean, they show up. How Ancestry decided to put coffins in obligor group and obligors in the coffin group, I don't know. But to show you how wackadoodle this could get. So any questions before I move on to another kit?
Sherry, I forget, what does the white mean in the middle of your cluster
These
there?
ones?
Yeah.
It just means that for that pair, you see,
Okay, it's below 20. Okay.
it's either below 20 or they don't share.
Okay. All right.
So these two people share with enough people that the algorithm put them in the cluster,
Okay.
but they don't share with everybody, or they don't have enough centimorgans.
Okay.
So that's kind of what that tells us.
Okay.
But
All
if you just hover there, it'll tell you what it is. So even all this white space I have is an intersection between two people, and I can figure out who those people are, and I get that message, as opposed to hovering over one of them over here, where they share a lot of centimorgans, but they're not in a cluster. And this is one of those where one of them got put into the coffin cluster and one of them got put into the obligor cluster, even though they share 488 centimorgans between them. Okay. So that my example makes it really crazy, but I'm going to show you Craig's. Shh, Teresa. Shh. So this is my husband's. His given name is William. This is what you'll see. And look at the amount of gray he has that's in really interesting patterns. I have a big cluster right here that has 3 colored clusters in it. And I have one person. This is Nancy Dopp, and this is Nancy Dopp. And you notice she has a gray completely on the outside of this big cluster. She's not in the cluster, but she has a match with everybody in the cluster. So my brain is having a big problem on how to figure this out, because Nancy is Craig's first cousin. His mom and Nancy's mom were sisters. So first cousins. But Marlene is also in that same generation first cousin. Her dad was the brother to Nancy's mom and Craig's mom. So you see, Marlene got put in this cluster. Nancy did not. Nancy got put into this cluster here. So it's super confusing. Okay. But we have the same thing going on here with Marlene. So another first cousin, this is Marlene. She's a solid match with everybody in this cluster because they're all first cousins, pretty much. These two clusters have their common ancestor is a generation apart. So this cluster is a Cading ancestor, which is Craig's mom's and Nancy's mom and Marlene's dad's mother's maiden name. They were Cading. She was a Cading. This cluster are also Cadings, but most of these either go up to the next generation back, or they're descendant from an uncle or a sibling, right? So that's, as I've tried to figure out what the heck is going on here, right? That's kind of what's going on. They've got so many of the first cousins on both the Cading side and the Anthony side that have tested that this is where they show up. So this is what it looks like when you have a lot of family that tests. I haven't figured this out at all, what's going on here. But you'll notice Craig's got all of these little clusters, and if I come down below, I can see maternal, 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 paternal, paternal, maternal, maternal, paternal. So the ones that are kind of interesting, these three paternal clusters are these three paternal clusters here. So these gray people are paternal matches to Craig, but they don't end up in the same cluster. So I haven't dug into that to figure out what's really going on. So, but that's kind of what we're looking at here. And just like I showed on mine, you can pick, we can highlight a person. We can go look at Tracy over here on Craig. Tracy. There, Tracy. So these dark squares, remember, are people that match with the test taker. So these dark squares are the shared DNA between a shared match and the test taker. So in this case, this is Craig's kit. So this square represents Tracy's relationship to Craig. And it says right here, your, because I think this is Craig working on it. So I haven't marked her yet for what her relationship is to Craig, but I know that these are paternal lines, and it looks like she has a tree. So if I right click on her name and I open up her match in another tab, I might be able to chase this down pretty quickly. Well, no, apparently not. But you can see here that I can look at the shared matches, just the two of them, not everybody in the cluster, but just the two of them share. And so this is his immediate family. This is his Snodgrass side. So this is a second cousin for Craig. This is a known second cousin once removed. That's correct. I just haven't updated their relationship to Craig on Ancestry. But you can see I've got 4 more pages in the shared match page than I have in the cluster. So in this purple cluster, there's only 6 matches. So you can see here, this is a first cousin. This is Tracy. These are a little further back. And that's all there are. I mean, that's all that Ancestry's algorithm took Craig's matches and said, oh, this little group belonged together, and made the cluster. So, and then you can see if you expand those out, you get to look at just the cluster, which is kind of nice. Now it's not interactive here. You can hover. No, I guess it is interactive. Yeah. So if the big cluster picture is really confusing, come down below and just open up that particular cluster that you want to look at, and then it just makes it really easy to work with. If you just want to go through this few number of people, you can see these are 6 matches. These are 6 people that you're only dealing with in this cluster, and you can try to figure out how they're all related to each other. Yeah. Okay, so I think that's a way cool feature that Ancestry gives us because of the way they've kind of backed into clustering, because they already had DNA matches and they already had through lines and they already were looking at our trees and they were already doing in paid subscriptions shared matches. And then if you wanted to see how much shared matches they had, you have to be in Pro Tools. But this is so helpful if you're really wanting to dig into which of my matches are really related to each other, without having to do your own spreadsheets and figure it all out. So that's the value of clustering. So hopefully yours doesn't have as much gray in it as Craig's does. I haven't quite figured out why one first cousin went into one group and one first cousin went into another group. I don't know. So
Do you have any that have, that, when they, on your, through lines, where you know that through lines is wrong?
So it's
And-
possible. So most of that is going to be because someone's tree is wrong.
Yeah,
Remember that through lines is based on trees.
right.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, because somebody copies and somebody copies and somebody copies, and then your through lines is wrong.
Yeah. This is coming
What is
back
it
to
gonna do?
comparing just the DNA on the clusters.
So this still should be okay then.
So this
Even the
will
through line-
show you all the people that have this shared DNA that look like, again, this is going to go back to trees because they're trying to help you identify who's the common ancestor in this group, right? So if I were to, let's look at Lynn here. Open her up. Because as you go through these, you want to start with one of the littler ones. Here's where through line says, between the trees, it looks like you have this common ancestor, Charles Kading. And as far as I've looked at all of those people in that big orange block, that's true. All of those people are descendant from Charles Kading. Okay, so those tells me they're all cousins. First cousins, second, third cousins. There are some third cousins once removed because of the people that have taken the tests, right? So to me, this was like, if you can get to this screen from within the cluster and then verify it with 3 or 4 other people, which is what I've done. Charles Franklin Kading is the common ancestor for everybody in this big orange cluster. So that tells me now, given he had 6 kids and the kids have all had kids, and so these aren't all first cousins, right? These are, but their ancestor is the same. And this little group is a different Kading sibling to Charles, as far as I can tell, which makes this Nancy really confusing because she's descended from Charles Kading too. So we got to figure out what's going on with that. But yeah, Lois, you're not going to get over the issues that you have in through line if you've got a known issue. But this is going to help you weed out the people that potentially may have their trees wrong, but they are all still related. You can kind of work through between the trees and who they share DNA with to see what's going on.
Now, when I looked at it, I was kind of disappointed because the range of 65 to 1300, I pretty much knew all those people and had identified them. I wanted to go smaller and get some of those 20 to 60 in a group. But if you notice up at top where it says all maternal, paternal, and then it says custom.
So if I want to say, let's cut out Craig's paternal side and look at the clusters that are just his maternal side. So you can see I still have 2, 4, 5 clusters here that are all his mom's side. The challenge I have is because of the fact that some of these are Anthony's and some of these are Kading's, because it's up both of her parents' lines, because that's the maternal line, right? I don't have that much for Craig on the paternal side. Most of these are going to be the Snodgrasses because his grandmother died young, and we know all the children that they had. And to go back another generation, it might help answer the question on, we know who her parents are, but a lot of, as you can tell, not a lot of that family has tested. So this would be where I would start to try to chase these all down, because it's just smaller numbers. And then you can see this is coming soon to do the custom one, which is what Teresa was wanting to do. So let's go and look at, just unless anybody has any questions about how to navigate the ancestry clusters. Okay, let's go ahead and look just to refresh ourselves on what MyHeritage does. So I'm going to close out some of these tabs here. And I'm signed into MyHeritage, and you go to the DNA tools and you explore auto clusters. And then what happens is you have to ask for it. Now, if you have more than one kit, this is right here is where you pick whose kit you want to do. Okay. So you can order for both of them. Now, I did just order for Craig and I again today. So I'm going to pull over. They send you an email with an attached zip file. And if you open the zip file, and they'll ask you to extract it, you'll get 3 files. You get this PDF that's README that talks about how to deal with it. You'll get this spreadsheet, which contains all of the shared matches and all of the data. And I'll show you that on the screen. And then you get this HTML file, which will open in your browser. So even though it's a file that gets emailed to you, you just double click on it. I'm just going to double click on it. And you see it opens a new tab and it generates my auto cluster picture from MyHeritage. So these are my MyHeritage matches to my kit. The default here is by cluster. Their presentation option gives us, you can sort it in alphabetical by name, you can sort it by the amount of shared matches, and you can sort it by shared matches with the tester. So this would be to me. What will happen when you do that is the clusters stay the same. The cluster algorithm doesn't change, but it will reorder this view and leave the color for the square there. So if I wanted to say, I'm looking by name, so show me by name, it will reorder the clusters, but it will keep the color that they were assigned by cluster. So see how that's a little different. And then you can see the line where they all match me. It's kind of similar. I'm going to go back to my cluster. And then I'm going to show you the information that MyHeritage provides you. So even though we got a spreadsheet with all this detail, down below the chart, and you see mine is really clean like it is on Ancestry. I don't have a lot of these people that aren't in a cluster.
You have one really big cluster and then a bunch of small ones.
Yeah. And this is a function of who's tested over on MyHeritage or move their kits over there.
Right.
But then what you get down here is you get some summary information. So MyHeritage says we found 98 matches. Their threshold is 40 to 400. So they're not going up to 1,300. They're only going to 400. And they're showing the minimum match that the matches have to have is 35. So instead of Ancestry saying it's 20, they're saying your matches have to be 35. But right here, I can either, here's all the people. No, I'm going to shrink these down a little bit so you can see what's going on. So like in Ancestry, where they gave you all the people in each cluster, MyHeritage does the same thing, but they open it up as expanded out. And they show you the centimorgans that they have, the largest with me, the segment with me, kind of a thing. Because they show it in a different view. And then how many are in their tree. So Susan has one person in her tree. So let's look at Brandon. So he's got one segment that's 42.1 centimorgans. So like in Ancestry, I can right click and open Brandon's match in MyHeritage from that cluster view. Okay, and then remember, this is MyHeritage's view. So here's my DNA match with Brandon, and it shows me how much we have in common. And they give you the estimated relationship. And I can scroll down. It says, here is where you might have common ancestral names, and then they give you the map for the ancestral places, and then shared DNA. So this is where these people may not be in the same cluster, but they are people that Brandon and I share DNA with. And you can see their presentation's a little different than what Ancestry does. So I can say that Wanda is my fourth cousin, but Wanda is Brandon's parents' first cousin or his first cousin once removed, right? And then I see on my heritage, which they've always given us this, how much this person shares with each of us. So I can see how much centimorgans they share and if they have a tree. So Wanda appears in a family tree with 11 people, right? So I can go down through here. Here is an opportunity. They're saying there's one triangulated segment between Karen Weeks, who they think is either my second cousin's daughter or my third cousin's daughter, and his fourth cousin. But there's a triangulated, and this is what my heritage has. This connects to their chromosome browser. So you can look at that triangulated segment. They bring up the three of us, me with Brandon and me with Karen in the chromosome browser. And I can say, we've got this big segment that we share, the three of us share on chromosome 10.
Okay.
So this could, if you're down into the weeds in where your chromosomes are overlapping with other people that you share, it might help you figure out how you're related to somebody, right? Did you see I've got a little bit more DNA with Karen than I do with Brandon, but this is a segment size of 42.1 centimorgans. This is really big. So that's something that comes up on the My Heritage page, as opposed to Ancestry doesn't have a chromosome browser. So that's one of the things you get over here. And you can go down through here and just hover. How many triangulated segments do you have? Do you know these people, where they fit in your tree, or not? Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. So that's a little bit how you get this generic emailed HTML file that will launch in a browser and give you all this information, but you'll notice they're hyperlinked to your DNA match list, right? And now you can go in here and you can say, I want to change my minimum to something specific. So what Teresa's looking for, My Heritage already supports. She can slice and dice these. I only show me the people that have this kind of information, right? But knowing that the shared matches have to be 35, she's not going to get down very far.
I'm not getting down too far, but it eliminates all the ones that are, that I really know that are related to each other. So
Sherry, I have a question.
Yep.
Because I'm looking at I just regenerated mine off of My Heritage.
Yeah.
And I have a person that I know how they're related to me. And he shows up in cluster number 4. His daughter shows up in a completely separate cluster. But I know it's his daughter because she reached out to me and I helped her figure out how he fit in my family tree.
Sure.
So any idea why the daughter would show up in a different cluster from the father?
And what you're describing, Colin, is exactly the same issue I have with Craig's on all his first cousins, and why are they all not in the same cluster?
And mine is the same way.
So I think you're going to want to look at whichever of those two clusters are smaller and figure out how either the daughter or he are related to the people in the cluster to figure out, because remember, even though she's his daughter, she may not have inherited as much of the DNA from the common ancestor because she might have gotten more DNA from her mom's side. Right? So she might lean more to the other cluster.
Well, what's really weird is the people that she's matching with are people I know are in the line she belongs in.
Right.
The people he's got in his list, I don't recognize any of their names.
And so that kind of makes you wonder, is for those other people, is there a different relationship you don't quite know about yet? Right.
That's visible from him, but not from her.
Right. And it's kind of the same reason why I tested all my whole family, and I have siblings. I mean, our delta of how my siblings are related to each of my parents varies fairly significantly. I mean, at the end of the day, sibling, parent child is about 3,600 centimorgans, right? But we've got some that are 1,200 different. So we didn't inherit common, 50-50 from each parent. And so
Right.
knowing that, and then knowing, okay, now you've got a father-daughter relationship, she may have just inherited enough. And what we don't know is the total story behind the algorithms, right? Of how did they decide to put somebody in this one and not in this one? Now, and one of the things I'll show you here before I finish up on the clusters is Ancestry does a pretty good job of, they've got a couple of papers that talk about how to use this. And I think it's really simple. It's kind of what I've been saying is look at how you're related to everybody in that cluster and see if that makes sense. Because this is just a tool to help us figure out how all of our matches come together to potentially a common ancestor. So yeah, you get a broader brush here on my heritage because they kind of include everybody that fits the combination. We don't have a way to slice and dice between parent like we do on the ancestry side, but we do have the ability to dig down into their trees if they've got one, and into the matches that we share with these people. So it's very similar to what Ancestry has now rolled out to help us slice and dice this massive amount of matches that we have that share with each other. And I think this presentation helps us, and it's the same thing here. If you hover, it gives you the names of who those two people are at the top and the list of everybody. To get to the details of what we have in the hover on Ancestry, you've got to come down below and look at the chart. And that chart that's down below is exactly what you receive in the spreadsheet that comes in the email, in the zip file in the email. So you don't have to do some of this work. You don't have to be connected to the internet or logged into MyHeritage. You can just work from the spreadsheet if you wanted to. Any other questions? I just kind of wanted to compare and contrast the differences between them. Just for giggles and grins, this is my super clean cluster chart. Let me go ahead and launch Craig's because his is, let's see, August. His is
It's
equally
just plain weird.
his
Sorry,
is equally
Greg.
crazy over here.
Mhm. I like to watch this part.
The animation.
Yeah, doesn't take much to go,
So he has less
that's not bad.
he has less gray over here because all of his first cousins and second cousins haven't put their kits on MyHeritage.
Okay.
So this is a little cleaner than what he has on Ancestry.
And it's only going up to 400 also. So
Yeah.
you can eliminate some first
And you
cousins
can
that way.
come down here and so you can see
Mhm.
not exactly the same. So his shared matches go down to 15.
15.
Mine
Okay,
only went down to 35.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
part of that is how the algorithm is going to say the maximum amount of people that we can put in this presentation are whatever it is, 91 people or 92 people, right? So in order to keep it within that, they just start lopping people. Craig just doesn't have that many matches, so he gets everybody.
Yes,
It's my suspicion of what happened.
right.
But one of the things, I'm going to jump back over to Ancestry here. Down here at the bottom of this presentation there's how clusters work. This is a really nice support article. I'm going to open that in a new tab. And then this is the science behind how, so this is more of their white paper information. And I'll go ahead and open that so you can kind of see. But to give you some branding details on what this is they kind of go through and say, matches by cluster. This is how you get to them. This is how to view. Oh, okay, I got to quit playing with it while it's still painting.
Glenn, have you used this function at all, or do you think you will?
I play with it every once in a while. I'm not too impressed with the Ancestry one because it's not given me anything I don't already know.
No,
Right.
yeah, that was my response too.
But if you haven't spent a lot of time in your DNA, you know.
But it did point out, I have a couple people that I don't know that are in my biggest cluster. So I
Mm.
have to go back and I got to go back and figure out what's going on. So.
Yep. So this is kind of does a walkthrough of everything we've talked about tonight. If you go to the science, you know, they give you a little more of the math around how they're identifying DNA matches and how they get mapped and connected. This tells you a little bit about, you know, the science behind it, kind of a thing.
Yeah. But.
And that's just right there on the site. So
Mhm.
any other questions or anything else you want me to show?
But
Go ahead.
Carla, what do you think about it? Because
I have never played with Ancestries, but it doesn't look like it's going to show me much more.
okay, but do you
And-
but do you use the MyHeritage one? On it?
I haven't looked at it for a while, so I just did, like I said, I just did the one for mine, and I'm looking at that discrepancy now between the man and his daughter.
Mhm.
And it does look like he's got completely different ancestors in common with me than she does,
Mhm.
which is really odd because she's definitely his daughter.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
So I've got
And
to
part
play
of-
with that part of the tool to see if I can figure it out.
Yeah, and part of it's where they put some of those thresholds to put them into a cluster and what, you know,
Yeah.
what's going on in the background. MyHeritage, I do believe, has similar help information about what goes on in the background. Let's see if I go back over here to here. You'd have to go and look in their help file because they don't make it a quick link to get to some of their white paper research.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, kind of cool stuff.
Kind of cool stuff. Right.
I liked the fact I don't spend a lot of time on my DNA matches. And so by being able to quickly go from the cluster view into essentially the through lines, shared matches view fairly quickly to see if they've already suggested a common ancestor based on the trees, saves me all the time of looking that stuff up.
Mhm.
All right.
Okay.
I'm
All right.
gonna stop sharing.
Okay.
Turn it back over to Teresa.
Okay. Get my glasses on straight here. The other thing I sent out to you was the link on at the occasional genealogist. I don't know about the rest of you, but I just get emails from I get on somehow I get on an email list and so I'm on hers. And it was on using quick and dirty. And if you look at what her blog talks about, it doesn't sound like it's DNA, but it was. And we have talked about using quick and dirty trees. But what I thought was interesting is um, I have done that in the past, but I've made up a tree here and a tree there and a tree there, not as part of my main one, but I've had multiple trees. And she's like, no, just make one tree up and then just you know edit the relationship and lop them off. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about that. I don't know how many of you use quick and dirty trees. Anybody besides me on occasion? Lisa says she does. Okay. This is where I'm trying to figure out how the heck I can be related to somebody. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to share. And we're going to come over here and share that. And hopefully that comes up. And we'll kind of make some of this stuff disappear. So if I were to go into, this is hers that she talks about it. And it's not excessive, but she goes through it and she says, meaning knowing how to add a new person who isn't related. And then we can talk about, I'll show you on that one. And then she says, here's the resource page from Ancestry's support site, which tells you how to merge and plus how some other how to, because all of a sudden I couldn't remember how to sever a relationship on Ancestry's trees. And I'm like, yeah, now we're doing this on Ancestry. You can do this on your own software generally, but you know, if you've got software like Legacy or Roots Magic or Family Tree Maker, you could probably just create a tree on its own. But if you're doing this on Ancestry, you know, you're going to make them a little bit differently. So, so that was her combination, talking about how to do it and how you can make it work. And she says, just keep one tree, not one tree per testing company. It won't help to have ancestry DNA matches in a tree and Ancestry and MyHeritage DNA matches at a tree at MyHeritage. So just, you know, so once you've run through your odds and ends that you're trying to figure out in Ancestry, go see what you can find about that person or their matches on MyHeritage and try to bring it all together. So, and we'll talk about the privacy situation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my trees. I'm going to get out of this. Yeah. And my thing's in the way, so I'm going to take care of this. So I have a tree that I call Quick and Dirty Tree. It used to be called the Gleason family tree, and then I realized I needed to put other people in it. So here's my Quick and Dirty Tree. Okay. And I have been working on somebody. So I actually have a much larger tree, and that's one of the problems. I have a much larger here, home. This is my Gleason tree that I've been trying to figure out how I'm related to this. Somewhere my second great grandmother's name was Gleason, and I have all these people that I have DNA matches to down here. And so I know, you know, somebody on this is probably a sibling of my great grandmother. So she's in there, but I also have, now I started an example here. And so if I'm going to do this, and I am making this, wait a minute, before I do that, let's go back over here. Trees, we're going to come down here to create and manage trees. So let's talk about that first. If you haven't done it lately, you're going to create a tree. So I could create a new tree right down here at the bottom and call it whatever you want. I called mine Quick and Dirty. But then you can manage it. So here's what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that and bring it up. And I'm going to go over here and I am going to do my tree settings as I'm going to work on that. The three little dots. Okay. And what I want to do is, here's my tree information. I just called it that. I didn't spend a whole lot of time on that. But this is the important thing, is to come over here where it says privacy settings, because you don't want people looking at this tree, because this is your Quick and Dirty. It doesn't have a lot of information. It may be wrong, so forth and so on. So I think the default is it's a public tree. But I'm come down here and I have clicked on that to say it's a private tree. Other users cannot view the contents of your tree. But there's one more step you want to go beyond that. I also wanted to click also prevent your tree from being found in searches. So how many of you, I know we've all done this. We find somebody that supposedly has a person in their tree, but the tree is private and cannot be viewed, but I know that person is in their tree. So I could contact that person and ask for information, or maybe could I see it? This way, even if they put Timothy Gleason as a search, it is not going to show up in their search at all. It will not be found at all. It is absolutely, this is the ultimate privacy. Made it private, and I also said you can't be searched for. So that's what you want to do with Quick and Dirty, because you don't want people sending you emails and saying, oh, yada da da, and how are we related? You you may not be, and that's the last thing you want to have it happen. So we'll do that. So that's one of the things that you need to do. You can invite people to look at it. I probably would never do there. So there's my tree information again. Um, and it says, who are you in this tree? It's not selected because I am not in that tree. It lets me export it, GEDCOM, all the other things you can do with a tree. But this is a quick and dirty. It's just meant for me to keep track of what's going on. So we're going to come over here. We're going to view the tree. Okay. And so now it goes back. Timothy, for some reason, is my home person. I could change it, but no matter how I do this, I'm going to have problems because I have, I've got stray people scattered all over the place. So I'm going to find in my tree, and this is something that I've been doing with somebody else. So I'm helping somebody here. So I've got William H. All right. And so I was going to add William, and then I'll just add some more things here. This is Robert H. Is his father. And sorry about that. So I can just build out a tree. Robert H. I'm going to save it. I'm not putting a whole lot of information in there. And then I can come up here, and Robert's father is going to be Ralph. Oops, sorry about that. And so I'm just putting enough in there that I can find him. And we'll save that. And so I can just keep going up there. Okay. Now, my thing is, I'm going to pretend that I don't really know who this fellow is. I don't know who his parent is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to Ralph, because I have somebody I'm trying to make connect to this. So I'm just going to say, add a father. And I'm going to make that be, I'm going to make that be Roger. Roger, and his last name is Green, G. Okay, so I'm going to save that. Okay. Now, Roger G is not Ralph H's father. I want to disconnect him from this tree. So if I come over here and I click on him, I do my profile. And up here under edit, it says edit relationships. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to edit relationship. And I'm going to say, where here it says the children of Roger G is Ralph H. Well, Ralph is not the son of Roger G. If I come over and I click on this X, it tells me Roger H will no longer be indicated as the child of Roger G. This person will not be removed from your tree. Okay, so Ralph stays in there, Roger stays in there. So I'm going to remove him. Okay, so now there's Roger G. Let's just go back. Let's go find in the tree. Let's put in Roger. There's Roger G. And if we look at Roger G in the tree, oh, come on. Why is it not showing up in my tree? Am I doing something wrong? View tree. Let's see if it's that. Okay, now I'll find in the tree. And there he is. He's just over here by himself, all his lonesome. But now I can build out Roger trees going up. And then I'm going to get to somebody where we're speculating if there's perhaps a non-paternal event as we go, or misattributed paternal event. And I can connect them through that person and then see if it comes down that way. So, so I can have, if I'm working on this one, that's fine. If I'm working on something with on my own family with the Kennys, I can add them in there. I can have just as many stray relationships as I want to have in this quick and dirty tree. Now, when it's all over and done with, in theory, I can merge it. They talk about it, how to do that. And I don't know if anybody's ever done that on Ancestry, and I have not. So I cannot speak to that at all. I'm looking at my tree rating. My tree rating is not so good. I think it's because I don't have anything in there. I don't have last names, birth dates, or anything else. I don't know how many of you have ever paid attention to your tree rating. let's see, Sherry, yours was 8.5 and mine was 8.2. So that was it.
That's a Pro Tools feature.
Oh, that's a pro tool. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and then they tell you why your tree has a rating on it, and what you need to correct things and so forth and so on. But you notice down here, I still have Timothy, I have William, I have Roger down at the bottom. So I can click back over to Timothy, get that tree and see what I can find. Okay. So how many of you use Quick and Dirties? I was going to ask. Anybody?
I do.
How many do you have?
I've got at least 4 or 5 trees that I have done that with, but occasionally I'll put the people as like orphans in my existing tree. If it's related specifically to a family or trying to figure out something, and then I either end up attaching them or deleting them later.
Okay. You do that. And like I said, I'm working on some where first of all, that last one I just did is not my family to begin with. It's somebody I'm trying to help. But I have some other ones I just really honestly don't know how I'm going to make them work. And I may be going down rabbit holes at all totally as we go from there. But I had talked to Sherry about this same problem, and so I'm going to bring it up to you. This fellow has done had his Y-DNA tested, and his closest match is like 5, and it's a totally different surname. But if we take the other the match and take his tree up, his, I don't know, 4th or 5th great grandfather happens to live in the same township in New Jersey as the fellow I'm talking to. So it could be that there is a relationship there. And I was talking to Sherry and I said, that my problem is he has done his tree and he's very careful about his tree, about not putting things in there that he can't prove. So he has not put the potential father, either the father that of this person, great, 6th great grandfather, whatever, that is on paper says he's the father. He has not put that guy's name in. His first name would be John, nor has he put Isaac in, who could be, if we have somebody that's in the other, the somebody's coming, sneaking out the back door, late at night. So I said, I had a thought, and then Sherry said, well, let's try it another way. I said, what if I got him to put the John, who's supposed to be the patriarch of that, in there, and John's father, and then see if the through lines come through, and see if he has any relationship that's coming down from the extra generations, and then change it over after a while and put in Isaac and Isaac's father and see if I get any through lines coming down. Now this fellow is a 6th great, at least these 2 men that are alive now are at least 6th cousins. So our autosom's getting awfully small on this. So I don't know if this is going to have any things. But what Sherry suggested is, well, rather than play with the one that's on Ancestry, is to create a GEDCOM and then upload it as a wholly separate private tree, and just start inserting potential fathers and 6th great grandfathers and their father as we go through that. Does anybody have any thoughts on which? Do you think it even work? I don't know. Glenn?
Well, I don't know. I had my heritage. Well, I did my work in Ancestry, and got back to my 7th great grandfather.
Okay.
Doing the paper research, and found my 6th great grandfather and his brother, and on paper it all worked.
Yeah.
And had looked into my heritage also and kind of did the paper there. And the next day I got an email about a Y-DNA match.
Okay.
And they said that my that it was right, and that
Mhm.
the great uncle was a Y-DNA match.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
I got confirmation of the paper trail,
yeah,
basically,
yeah. And
using
this
someone
one,
else's Y-DNA, so.
and this one, the Y-DNA does not match. He doesn't come up with anybody in his, and he has joined a surname study for his, the name that
Mhm.
he would thought it is, and he doesn't, he's just kind of a lonesome guy hanging out in that surname study. So he's not doing there. And so the closest he's got is, he has two people that match him at a distance of 5. One, as I said, the family was in the same area. The other one, I haven't been able to figure out where that family was because the guy doesn't have a tree. So Glenn, you started to say something.
Now that, well, through lines won't populate on a private, non-searchable tree.
Okay. Well, that answers that question. Because I think through lines is that's the only other thing that we haven't really explored. So,
But
okay.
but you
Yeah.
will get hints on a private tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
But
if
I want,
someone else has some of those people has that person
mhm.
in their tree, you might get a hint on them.
Well, I've kind of followed the tree up, so I've seen a couple trees with these people's names on it, but you never know. Like I said, I really thought maybe through line if we could, I don't know what the odds are of having DNA, autosomal DNA show up that far back, but there's sometimes you get sticky. I call it sticky. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, what I've done on a couple is, just put the person that I'm suspicious of into the tree,
Mhm.
wait a couple hours, look at through lines, and then delete them.
Delete them. That's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to talk his sister. His sister runs the tree, and
Yeah.
I will have to talk her into doing that, just,
Yeah.
with the promise that she can take it out, within 24 hours and see what
Yeah.
happens. And just get
Usually through lines will populate within a few hours if
Okay.
it's valid.
Okay. Thank you for telling me that I can't get a through line on a private tree. So that makes all the difference in the world, or non-searchable tree. So that's it. Okay. It is what it is. That's all right. I get into the strangest things sometimes, and and I was talking about this. I said, "Well, yeah, you think that this other person fathered the child. It could be that you're truly what you are, and it's the other guy is got the cuckoos in the nest, and then he may really be your surname, but we'll see what happens." So it's hard. It really is hard, and he's worked hard at it. He's got all the right stuff. It's just tough. That that's all right. So I don't know. I like quick and dirty trees. If you've got somebody where you're trying to figure out, Stacy, do you use them, Stacy Weaver, at all in your research?
Not too much.
Okay.
But I haven't done a ton of DNA work. I've been focusing on other things recently.
She's getting certified. That's why.
Yeah. So, and really most of the DNA stuff I have, I've been able to figure out, or like the ones I'm working on, I can figure out most of it. I've got, I just haven't done a deep dive yet.
Okay.
It's on my
Okay.
list after I'm certified.
Yeah, I understand that. That's all right. Stacy Stemp, I have the feeling you've done some.
Oh, I have not gone and built a full out down and dirty tree, but I've done it in my tree. I've
Okay.
added somebody and then, severed the relationship and then did a little
Mhm.
research.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
I
like
can-
the idea of just creating a separate tree that is just full of random people that you're just researching. But the thing that I guess where I get kind of overwhelmed thinking about that is, um, you can get so many people in there.
Mhm.
What if you get the same person in there 6 times? It's like if you can remember who you have in there, you don't
Well,
need to add them again. You might already have a partial tree built for them.
well, if you start to add somebody, Ancestry will pop up and say, is this the same person as? So sometimes that, I think,
Well, and I think what you demonstrated, Teresa, is a good habit to get into with that tree, is always start with searching in your list of all people.
And see what happens. Yeah, go from there. You can do lists. And like I said, you can do this on your private software too. So if you want to do it in Roots Magic or Legacy or Family Tree Maker, you can do that. But that one, you'd probably just create a tree because you don't have to worry about anybody searching in it. And you can merge trees. So, but so I'm working my way through the, like I said, the Gleasons. That's just one branch. I have 2 other Gleason branches that I have to add in there. So that's it. Okay.
Well, and I use those quick and dirty trees, particularly in my software, when I'm trying to figure out, you've got a really juicy obituary and you're trying to figure out how everybody's related because they say how they're related, but you don't know those people.
No.
So I just create a tree and say, okay, so this is so-and-so's daughter and this is so you can start to see the picture.
See the picture and see what happens. So it's all right. But so
one of the projects I've been working on for the last couple months, and I talked to you about it a little on the Roots Magic group, is I have been going back to one of my 5th grade grandfathers and trying to build out all of his descendants down to about 1950. And I am doing it kind of like a quick and dirty tree. I'm taking a find a grave listing of all the descendants or an obituary, and not looking for solid proof on everybody, but just trying to build the list of everybody. And then I'm going through and running the exporting it to Roots Magic and running the suggestions for errors and trying to correct from there, and then publishing it on a website.
Yeah, because Roots Magic lets you create your own. Roots Magic lets you create your own website. I think you're doing something different than that, Glenn, aren't you?
Well, that's what I'm using is the Roots Magic website, but I'm just kind of doing a quick and dirty behind it to get it all built out as quick as I can, and then asking people to let me know if they see errors in it.
Well, you never know. It's great cousin bait.
Yeah, it is.
Well, this is a family that came to Pennsylvania in the late 1700s, and a lot of people thought they were a family that stayed in Pennsylvania. But I found, my 3rd great grandfather came to Madison County. I found one of his cousins got married in Dallas County, and some of them were down in Kansas and Oklahoma by searching all the descendants. So
that's it. You notice Glenn has a new background. Tell us the story of that map. And I think it's so cool. Plus what we were discussing about when we first started. Yeah.
Well, this is a map that came from the book Southern Quakers and Slavery by Stephen Weeks, that was written in 1896. And the red areas on the map are Quaker communities that were still active in 1896. The blue ones are ones that were defunct by then. And so it's showing the different Quaker communities in Virginia, North and South Carolina in that time period. But one of the unique things about the Quakers and slavery in that time period was you couldn't manumit a slave in North Carolina. So the Quakers had kind of banned slave ownership, but there were still a few that owned slaves. And so what they would do is they would transfer the ownership to the yearly meeting of Quakers, which was the overall Quaker organization. And then when some family was moving up to Indiana or Ohio, they would transfer those slaves to those families that were moving up into Northwest Territory, and then they could manumit them once they got up into the free states.
Manumitting being freeing them. So
Yeah, it's
yeah.
just a way to get around that North Carolina law.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. Obviously, Glenn's got a lot of Quaker family, so he's having fun with that. So that was kind of cool. So I like the background as we go through there.
Could you say one more time where you found that map?
Donald got,
I can let's see, where was it? I think I could find it and put it in the chat. It was made to go with the book, and it's actually in the book in black and white, but the colored version and the bigger version was on the North Carolina University site, I think.
Oh,
So let me see if I can find it, and I'll put it in the chat.
that would be fabulous.
Yeah. As genealogists, we love maps. Just love maps.
I just finished the IGHR map class last week, where I had a whole week of using maps in your genealogy research.
This is the one in Pittsburgh.
No,
No,
IGHR is the
oh,
one in
HR. Okay. Yeah.
it's Georgia,
Yeah, Georgia.
but it was
Okay.
virtual.
Okay. All right. Like I said, I love maps. We kind of go through them and see what we get. And, kids that don't know how to read a map, unless it's in a screen, I just think that's sad. Me and AAA get along very well. Good. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody done anything lately? Just Chuck Bush was showing me the book he did last night, which was quite inspiring.
I've talked about that before a little bit, but yeah, I did it for my family, immediate family for Christmas. Learned that my grandfather was in an orphanage, but was never adopted, but changed his name, first and last name. So one of those brick walls that I was able to figure out, find his parents, and therefore find a whole side of my family.
Right. And he didn't do it as a child. He did it as an adult. Right.
Yeah. Between 11 years and 22 years, he changed his name.
Yeah.
His mother had died. His father had gone to World War I believe to be died in World War I. But he was in an orphanage, and his brother didn't come with him because he's not on the orphanage list on the census. But I was able to find it through DNA his father, and therefore that whole side of the family opened up. I found out I got a little Scottish in me.
Yeah, a little Scotch. That's it. All right. Denise, did I see your hand go up? Or were you just thinking? Yeah.
I'm logging into different things that we've been talking about and trying to figure things out. I forgot to change my name to Anne.
Yeah, I say no. I'm like, Anne, you're normally out you're out camping over a weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're
Good.
heading to Alaska on Friday.
Flying, driving.
We're flying to Vancouver, taking a cruise, and
Cruise,
then doing the land tour over to Denali. So
Well, that'll be nice. That'll be nice. Okay, good. It's all right. We hope you have a good trip. Stacy, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was at a family reunion this weekend in South Dakota, and two things that were cool. I made a coloring book. I took some. I only had a few of old family photos of this particular branch of my family, but it's my paternal grandmother's side of the family. And I only had a couple of pictures, but I had a wedding photo of my great grandparents, and then I had another, not a wedding photo, but maybe it was an anniversary photo or something. But anyway, another couple's photo of another set of grandparents, another line that was also in this family reunion. And I turned those into coloring book pages. I had a photo of the original family farmstead. And I made a coloring book page out of that. And then I went searching through the internet, some South Dakota history sites and some Facebook pages, and I found some historic photos of the area in the county where my ancestors all migrated to and lived and still do. My family still does live there. And I made a coloring book and it went over really well. People
That's
loved it.
cool.
It was very cool because, you know, one of the other photos I had in this coloring book was the photo of a church that no longer exists, but it's the church that my dad and a lot of the people in his generation that were in the room were baptized and or confirmed at. The church is no longer there. So there was just a lot of some one-room schoolhouse. Again, a lot of the, you know, my dad's generation, they went to a one-room school when they were kids. So that was really fun. It went over really well. And people liked it so much they want me to do it again for the next family reunion. And they're already starting to share with me some of their photos that they would like to see in the coloring book. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
So you mentioned what software you and I talked about. What software did you use to create the?
Oh, I just use artificial intelligence. I used Google Gemini, but Chat GPT is a, you know, really popular one to use.
Okay.
I tried Chat GPT first and I didn't like the images that were coming back. So I switched over to Google Gemini and I got, you know, what I wanted from there. So that's what I stuck with. But so that was a lot of fun.
So when you did it, you scanned it and then you told it to make a coloring book picture?
I have the digital images on my phone. Like I have the photos, the scanned images on my phone. And so, or on my Google Drive. And so I just, on my computer, on my laptop, I just went to the, AI assistant of my choice was, like I said, Google Gemini. You can use Chat GPT or any of the other ones out there. And I said, please turn this photo into a black and white coloring page, use clear lines and reduce or eliminate the shading. And that was my prompt for most of them. Most of them worked well that way. Some of them I had to tweak. And then I would drop the photo in and then it would say, okay, I'm making your coloring page. And then a few seconds later, it would spit it back out. And it was almost perfect every time. So that was a lot of fun.
That is a great way to get kids excited, I think.
Yes. And that was, yes. And also too, I printed off more than just enough for the kids because I knew some adults would be interested in it. You know, it's like if we can reignite, you know, the interest in our heritage. And actually, yeah, all the coloring books got taken. So that was good. So I'm gonna do it again for next time. I'm already starting to plan, you know, a better one. I'm gonna do it a little bit differently. I'm gonna add for each coloring page, I'm gonna add another page that is like a caption or description, a little story about the photo and where it came from. Because I think that would be cool to have while they're, otherwise I stood up in front of the group and I flipped through the book and I told them what the photos were. Because I hadn't had enough time to put together much more than that. But next time I'm gonna do that, you know, with a separate page for each one. So that'll be fun.
I'm thinking Christmas present too, if you're not gonna have a reunion for the little kids.
Yeah, that would be a good thing. So a good idea for anybody if they're, you know, gonna have a
How did
family
you
gathering.
bind them? How did you turn them into a book?
Oh, I just stapled them.
Stapled them,
But
okay.
next time though, I'm gonna get, you know, you can buy like binders.
Oh, report covers.
Yeah, you can buy the little spine with the covers, or you can get little folders or something and you know, clip them in there, and you can, so there are ways to do that that are not expensive. So
That's it.
I'll be
Okay.
doing that. And then we have some family research, family history enthusiasts in this group, that group of family. And I came away with a research assignment. So I have no idea how I'm gonna solve this one, but a great grandparent was 11 years old when his parents died, or a great grandparent was 11 years old when his parents died, the great grandparents. And so everybody's question was, he was 11 years old. Where did he go? Who took care of him? Nobody knows. So it'd be really cool if we can find that out. It's going to be really hard because I believe that was in Russia.
Oh.
I think he came over. He might have been the one to come over as an adult. I don't know, but anyway, I think it was in Russia that he was orphaned, so I don't know, but we all want to know who raised him.
Well, if he's old enough, unfortunately, at that point, an 11-year-old was almost considered adult, you know, they'd be
Yeah.
apprenticed out and
He might have been on
went
his
to work.
own.
Yeah, went to
Who
work for
knows?
somebody.
But his
That's
parents
it.
were in their 30s when they died, so
That's amazing. That's it.
yeah. So now I have a
So,
research assignment, and oh, and they voted me without me volunteering. They voted me to host the next family reunion. So I'm gonna have to get busy and learn, get serious about learning the website, how to make the website, and um the how to print something out, you know, that's big. But that's a
That's
Roots
it.
Magic conversation.
Yeah,
So,
we'll have that. Deb
yeah.
Killian, you're new. You were due last night at the German group, and so this is your first time to join in the DNA. So why don't you unmute yourself, and I'm going to ask you, tell us a little bit. Have you done your DNA yet?
I did do my DNA, and it's like, what am I looking at? I mean, it's about as clear as mud to me right now. So
There is supposedly, and I have to find it, or did we find it, Sherry, that Ancestry, Krista Cowan, or I can't remember who it was going to do a basic ancestry
He
DNA.
is doing a basic ancestry DNA class. I think it's tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
But it's one of those, it's on Zoom and they're going to record it. So
Okay.
if you get registered, they'll keep you in the loop. Let
Okay.
me put that link in the
Chat.
Okay.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I was kind of chuckling to myself when you said we like maps, because growing up, that was my job when we went on any type of trip, or we went out to visit my aunt in California. And so my uncle would have me sitting in the front seat with him, and I was the map reader and he drove. And now that we have all of this on our car, you know, with GPS and that, it's like, just give me a map. Let
I
me know
know.
the extent. Don't turn left here in 50 feet or whatever. I'm like,
Well, I want to know what's coming up in an hour so I can make plans. You know,
yeah,
I can't see that close up.
yeah. Well, and we went to Chicago about a month ago, and my daughter's like, we're trying to get out, and it's like, okay, exit, I don't know, J, and she's like, you're supposed to turn there, and she's yelling at me, and I'm like, what do you mean? It says exit B, and she said, no, it's like B through M or something, you know. I'm like, so we ended up taking an hour around Chicago to get back onto to get back onto our right of way, and I was like, just give
I
me a
know.
map so I can read it.
Give you some maps. So that's it.
It's
Here,
not-
if you look in the chat, there is
It's
the
not tomorrow. It's a week from tomorrow.
week for tomorrow. That's what I thought. I didn't think it was there. So, you know,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm going to do a cut and paste right now so I don't have to worry about
And if you just click on it in chat, it'll just open in a
open up
browser
the browser.
tab.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep it going.
And they will send you email confirmation and they will send you a calendar event and they'll keep you posted. So
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I'm pretty near the sense all of this. So my
well,
dad's side,
we all are. We all are
yeah,
at
my
some point in time.
dad's we didn't know him. He was a colonel, and he contacted my dad years ago, and he put a book together. It's huge, and it's all of our family tree.
Wow.
And it started out in Switzerland, and then he branched out everybody. Oh, I guess you can't see it, but it branched out all of the different roots that it took from different family names. So it's got all the family names that came out of that one ancestor back in the 1600s. So that kind of got me going again.
Sure, sure. Because Sherry's got Swiss ancestry.
I
I've got
do.
Swiss ancestry. It's amazing for
Yeah.
a small country how many people ended up having Swiss ancestry here in the United States.
Right, because we were always said it was German, you know, not realizing we started in Switzerland, then moved to Germany. So that was interesting to find out.
That's it. So I hope all of you saw that on the chat, because even if you've used Ancestry DNA for a while, it's a good idea to go in and take a refresher course on this. And it's free. Free is always good. So we'll go from there. I should probably put that on our IGS website. So I might remember to do that. Go from there. So how many, or not our website, our Facebook page. How many of you use Facebook? I'm just curious. We're all old, so we use Facebook. We don't use Instagram. So, oh Lord. But we are getting there. I'm trying to think of what's going on at Iowa Genealogical Society. They're having a half-price book sale. Okay. And it's all sorts of books. They're duplicates of what we have, for the most part. Some of them are of more general interest, not necessarily that you'd put in a genealogy. But I think she said there's something like 800 books. I don't know if that's true or not, but Lois Williams probably has seen them, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
So if you want,
it's
yeah.
800 or 900.
Yeah, yeah. So if you want to stop by and peruse and buy a book or two, that'd be great as you go through that. Trying to think of what else is coming up. They're doing a tour of Woodland Cemetery, a guided tour, Woodland Cemetery, which is a Conedo cemetery. It is limited. It's $5, but that's nothing. It is limited to a certain number of people, so you have to register for it and see what's going on there. What else is going on down there? Got two new air conditioning HVAC units, which cost us a chunk of money, but the others had reached their lifespan. So it's back to being nice and cool in the library, which is good. That was it. Fall conferences in October. We're having the mother-daughter from Family Locket again, and it's talking about archives and other resources here in the Midwest. So that's always good. It's a one-day, and it will be in person in Zoom, also via Zoom, and it will be recorded so that you can always come and watch it again if you're not available that weekend, or if you want to just refresh yourself. Judy, you're on the board, Judy Pohorski.
Yes.
Is there anything else I'm forgetting that's coming up?
Not that I can think of.
Okay.
You're much closer up there. I was going to mention too, I went to the Ostfriesland conference this last weekend, and Blaine spoke on Zoom. And after he was done, there were so many people there that really didn't know that much about DNA, and they were so excited because he explained it so well. So I would tune into whenever you can to watch him.
He does a good job with it.
Yes.
That's it. And I think next time, one of the things Sherry will talk about Roberta Estes's little thing that she put out, which is a good thing to say. Is there anything else that we should be talking about? Questions you've got? By this time next September, that will be the day after Labor Day. It will be September 2nd. Okay. It will be the Tuesday. We may have new origins coming out. We can see what's going on with that. You never know. It's going to be this month or next month. And about the time I say that, it turns out they aren't doing that on Ancestry. And then there's always something that comes through. So if any of you get emails or you see blogs and you see something you think we might be interested in, let me know. And then we can see if we can't weave that into our discussions and our meetings as we go through there.
Teresa,
yeah.
This is Kathy Gorley. Since we were just talking about archival materials, would it be okay if I posted that change.org petition?
Go ahead and do it. Okay.
On the chat.
Do you want to tell the story or you want me to?
I could tell it. The State Historical Society has decided to close its Iowa City Research Center and disperse its collections.
Well, to be candid, Kathy, the Historical Society didn't know anything about it. It was General Administrative Services made the decision.
You're correct. The top people at the State Historical Society knew about it, but did not have, don't really have the ability to
naysay.
Since it is their boss, who's the head of Department of Administrative Services for the state of Iowa, that has made this decision. But the decision was made well, there was a press release that went out in mid-June, and then they began implementing it the 1st of July. The building is now closed except for they will take appointments Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays till the end of December. And then they will lay off all but one staff member who will be there through the end of this coming June as they disperse the collection. The State Historical Building in Des Moines has room for about 40% of the collection, and the remainder will be either deaccessioned to go to other institutions, or returned to donors if it's fairly recent material, or disposed of if they can't find people. So there's a change.org petition and some folks that I know that are working on different ways to try to get this stopped, because there's an awful lot of really important information there. The collections in Iowa City started in 1857. So it feels like a big mistake to quickly disperse these materials. Anyway, I will put the change.org petition in the website, and it's pretty extensive, so you can read what's going on.
Because it's not only about the closure of Iowa City, it's about the fact that they are not funding the whole department, and they have laid people off here in Des Moines, and they are not adequately staffing it. And because there is no more Iowa Department of Cultural Affairs. So it is run by the General Services, who are also in charge of things like parking lots and building maintenance and so forth and so on. They don't have a mindset this is part of the reorganization that was done last year. And we're a little worried about what was going to happen to our corner of the world. And this is kind of exactly what has happened. Okay. So we're concerned. Now, the Iowa Genealogical Society has already talked to them, and we will take any books that they want to, whether it's family histories or other books, and add them to our collection. And if they are duplicates, we will try to find a home for. And if, either to other libraries or put them up for sale. So we will do that. And these are duplicates that they may have already, but we're really concerned. I know the Iowa City one had a project that was going on for years, where they were, when I say clipping, it may not have been physically clipping, but copying newspaper articles from World War II that were about local boys, their service and so forth and so on. And I guess it's one heck of a collection. And I'm like, I hope that's not one you throw out. We'll see what happens. But we'll go from there, because some of this will be thrown out, just flat out thrown out, because they don't have room for it. Nobody does. So
except we're working the hardest we can to
stop this.
Stop it.
So, yeah. And then contact your local legislator and kind of raise holy hell with them, if you can do that. Now, Glenn, you can't sign this because you're not an Iowa. Well, I guess you could sign it, but it's not going to do any good because you don't vote here. You're in Colorado.
He doesn't have an Iowa legislator to complain to.
I do have Iowa interests.
You
yes,
do. That's
certainly
it.
You can sign that petition.
You can sign it. This is not like an official nominating whatever as we go through there. So, okay. So yeah, thank you, Kathy, for bringing that up. It's kind of important. So we go from there. So I encourage you all to go down there and click on it right now. And then all you have to do is put your name and go in there and see what happens. I don't know, the last time I looked, they had about 2,400 signatures.
They have 3,300 as of
we
This
need more.
afternoon.
We need more. So,
Yeah.
so, and if you're a member of a local society, then you should be talking to them about that as well. You know, Judy, you need to be circulating that up in Cedar Rapids. You guys are being affected affected by it from most of all. So
Yeah,
that's it.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, this is the end of August. I mean, we're done with August meetings. Yes. Anybody else have something to talk about?
I just had a question. I noticed the date for the ancestor DNA
Mm-hmm.
is next Tuesday
The 13th.
and or
Is it the
13th,
13th?
Wednesday. I think that's
Okay.
the day we're going to be at the fair. So will
Okay.
this be on Zoom?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be
it-
on
it-
Zoom
Or,
and
recorded?
they'll record it.
Mhm. Yeah. So
Okay.
just go ahead and register for it now.
Okay.
And then they'll
Thank you.
send you, when it's over with, they'll send you a little thing that says, here's the link to watch it.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
that's it. So, yeah, because this doesn't always fit in. Because on that same day, I have something about researching your farming ancestors in Ireland. And that one though, I think it's in the middle of the night, so I have to figure out, again, I hope they have it recorded so we can go from there. So that's it. Okay. All right. I think we're done, aren't we? Okay. And if you come up with an idea, or you see something interesting, just pop off an email, let us know, and we'll try to come up with something interesting for you to look at. So that's it. Okay. You all have a good August. Have fun at the fair, and send all your kids back to school or your grandkids back to school. And it'll be quiet around your houses if you have that. So that's it. Lisa, it's good to see you. I hadn't seen you for a while. So nice. Okay. Take care. We'll let you go. See
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Sherry?
Yeah. What's up, Deb?
Well, I was at the German meeting last night and I was talking to one of the ladies because I've been having a lot of trouble with Ancestry, deleting all my trees. And she said, oh, she thought you would be the good one because you're good with that Ancestry. But like my one family, I've put in probably 6 times because they keep going in there and getting it deleted. And I have it set on privacy, but it's all on my dad's side. They keep deleting.
So the way Ancestry works is you have complete control of who has access to your tree. So unless you've shared your tree with somebody, there shouldn't be anybody that can go in and delete anything.
Okay.
So, unless you've got somebody that you gave permission to make edits to your tree, there shouldn't be any way that could happen.
I don't think I can. Well, the only one would be my cousin, and she doesn't do it. So
Yeah. You can always go back as Teresa walked us through tree settings. So if you open up your tree and then go to the click down that says create and manage trees, and then you can go into that and then look on the invitations list for that tree to see if you might have accidentally added somebody and gave them permission. So that would be the place to start. Because there shouldn't be any way that Ancestry is really rigid about that. Now there have been people that have lost part of their tree because of some system glitch, but the fact that it keeps happening after you fix it makes me suspicious that someone has gotten access to your tree.
Yeah, well, on my mom's side, I don't have much in there, so I don't worry. But my dad's side, especially my grandmother's side, which I didn't know anything about. I mean, there's all types of information, and I mean, we're going back past.
Yeah, because usually, I mean, people can complain. They can leave you a comment that says, "Hey, I don't think this is right." But they shouldn't have access to change your tree unless you've and I'm just going to say accidentally gave somebody permission to your tree. So take a look and see what you've got set up for permissions to that tree to see if there's somebody there that you don't recognize, or you're like, oh shoot, I didn't mean to do that. And then you can remove them because you have total control.
Okay. And just one other quick question. I noticed when Teresa was she had like different trees. I started out with just my mom's side in one tree, then I read something about put the whole thing together.
So it's
Is there
a huge argument within the genealogy community, whether you have one tree or whether you have more than one tree. So it's personal choice, how you want to do it. Now I have a lot of trees here. Well, since we're all still on Zoom, I'll just go ahead and share my
Well,
trees.
when I read it, it said something about the DNA, to keep it all in one tree.
Well, so you have to, when you do your DNA, you have to set a tree to be the one that's used for your DNA work, right? And so if you have more than one tree, then you've got to say, oh, I want to be, like in my case, I have one for me and I have one for my hubby. And so our DNA kits are tagged to those trees because that's our family. But if you go to trees here, let me see, share. I'm going to let you see what I'm doing here. So if you go to trees and you go down to create and manage trees.
I'm not seeing anything.
Okay, see if you can, is it showing now?
No, I just have a black screen with a green box around it.
Let me stop sharing and see what I got going on here. Zoom is telling me that I'm sharing, so let's
Well, Zoom is also
what's
telling us
going
that you're sharing. We just can't see the share. So I don't know if it's just taking a while.
So let me, okay, so
Oh, there, it's coming up.
yeah. So here's a list of all the trees I have. Okay. And let's just pick one. I'm just going to pick this Kading research tree, and I can go to tree settings right here. Oh, and I'm really small. Let me bump that back up. And over here under invitations, you see where that's a separate little tab there?
Yes.
And then it doesn't show me that I have anybody invited. Let me go back to tree information. Let me show you what one would look like if I go back to tree view. Let's see, I gotta go back to trees. So again, if I go to trees, create and manage trees. And I know that this tree, I think I have shared. See, you can see here where it says 2 people invited, 1 person invited. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that one. And it will give me a list of the people that I've invited. I have to go to invitations. And you can see I've got usernames and how they were set up and what role they have and whether they can see, and I can remove them right here.
Okay.
So if
I'll
you
have
go
to
into
go
your
check.
tree and see if you've got somebody sitting in there, because typically if you have them as guest, it's view only. If you make them a contributor, they can add, but they can't remove. And if you make them an editor, they can do everything you can do. So they can delete branches and they can do all kinds of things. So it's always that, okay, how much power do I want to give them?
Right.
Right. So just take a look and see if this doesn't have anybody sharing and this is happening, I would go ahead and call customer support at Ancestry and put in a work ticket so that they can take
They did that. I came back nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I've called them so many times. She said, "Oh, you've called quite a bit," and I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It's like it's just like an ongoing problem. I get more. I end up spending most of my time re-entering than I do anything else.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can log in and go to the tree, and it's gone. It's like, well, where did it go?
There are times that I've had things that I thought disappeared, and it usually while I'm still in and I'm logged in, I go ahead and hit refresh on your browser. Just go ahead and have it go back out to the server and say, refresh this page and let me see what's there. And sometimes it's in the database that it's, if they're looking for something specific, it would be really hard to find. But if it's in the presentation layer, can you tell I came out of IT?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to make it shake hands again. So you might give that a try too.
Okay. So if I decide, because I think I'd like my trees, like my mom's side and then my dad's side separated.
Mm-hmm.
Can I separate that one that I have them all together? Because I started out with my dad's side, and
So
then I had one for my mom's, and then I took everything off of re-entered everything on my dad's and made it one big tree. But can I go in there and just take off my mom's
So
side without messing
in
it up?
Ancestry, there isn't an easy way to do that. You could create a new tree, and then you could go person by person and copy people from another tree into that tree. The only other way to do that is there is some genealogy software that is desktop based that you can split and merge trees. And
Okay.
so if you don't want to invest that kind of money or invest, that kind of a
Yeah.
service, that's kind of how you can do it.
So if I already have my mom's stuff on my dad on my big tree,
Mhm.
does it automatically put it into the one that I started or does that just kind of just sit there in no man's land?
It just sits there in no man's land. It doesn't do anything until you set it to do it. Now, there's another way I will tell you that you can download your tree. So if I go back to tree information and I come down here, you don't want to delete, but you want to export your tree. Okay, and that will create what's called a GEDCOM file, GED. It'll be .ged file on your computer. It'll download it to your computer. Then you can upload that as a copy tree and then just delete the side you don't want. So you'd end up with two trees. You'd end up with a copy and then just go into the one and delete what you don't want.
Okay.
So that would be another way to do it.
Okay. Yeah, there's not much on my mom's side, so yeah. Okay. Well,
So
thank you. I appreciate you
that's
taking the
kind of the
time.
easiest way to do it, yeah. Unless you've got software.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I thank you for taking the time and explaining that.
No worries.
Stacy, was you there last night at the German one?
Yeah, I was.
Because I remember you saying something. The lady Karen, we worked together. And so, yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get to you. Did you?
No, you had a question earlier, and I thought that I had some information that might help you that I wanted to share.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what your question was. Oh, because Teresa's presentation was on MyHeritage, but she was mentioning, I think in answer to one of your other questions about going out to familysearch.org. And that is a fantastic site, and it has absolutely everything. I'm overwhelmed by it. Sherry's a pro at it. Teresa's a pro at it. I'm overwhelmed by it. I found a research guide that I got for like $15 or $19, and it was written by a genealogist who is on Facebook, and she puts videos up every day. Videos like 1 minute long. I mean, they're really short videos, but she shares tips and tricks every day that are really, really, really helpful. And she wrote a few research guides, and they're really inexpensive, and she'll send you a download link if you purchase it. And I just thought that, if you're that type of a learner like me, or if that, that might be interested. So I was going to give you the information on how to find that if you wanted to take a look.
Yeah, because I do follow some of them on Facebook.
The Formidable Genealogist.
Yeah, Iowa roots.
Follow.
Yeah, she's born and raised in Iowa. She lives in Minnesota now.
That's it. Yes, I know who I think she's kind of redheaded.
Jen Schaefer, yeah.
Yeah, kind of long hair if I remember right.
Yeah. So if you're following her on Facebook, you can go to her Facebook page and you can find the link to her webpage. And she's got some research guides that she's written, and one of them is a family search research guide, and I just bought it and I can't wait to start using it. But I thought that might help you out. I just wanted to share the information.
Yeah, the other tip I would say for family searches, they have a YouTube channel. And you can go there, and they often have like a 15 or 20-minute presentation on something that's going on their site, or some of that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. My mom's dad's father, my great grandfather. I can't find anything on him. You know, he listed 3 different birthplaces in Germany, and then it's like, okay, well, I Googled the one, and I thought, okay, where is this? No such place. So there's another one on Facebook. She's from Germany. I can't remember what she goes by. And she had the email address. So I just kind of shot her an email and saying, this is the situation. And she said, oh, I think you mean this town in Bohemia. Because he had Bohemia, Adamstadt or something, and then Düsseldorf. Well, I've done both of them, and he still's not coming up. So I'm just like, and of course, all of my stuff, my grandmother threw away when my grandfather died because she didn't think it was important. So she threw it all away. So it's like, no, Grandma, you don't do that.
Well, another thing on my list because I have the same situation with a great grandparent that I've been trying to find information on, and his whole parent,